Is Monster-Mania the best horror convention on the East Coast? Let's talk about Monster-Mania 54 that took place in Hunt Valley, Maryland over the weekend of April 14th, 2023. This was actually Monster-Mania's first springtime show in Maryland. The horror movie convention typically takes place once a year at the end of September or early October in Hunt Valley at the Delta Hotel Marriott. Starting in 2023 though, we will have one show in the spring and one in the fall. Monster-Mania also has two other locations for its conventions, one in Pennsylvania and one in New Jersey. I can't speak for those because I've only been to the ones in Maryland because this is where I live, but I do have a long history of attending Monster-Mania. So I ended up going 2 out of the 3 days for this convention. I purchased a pre-show ticket for Saturday online before I went, and I purchased a Sunday general admission ticket the day of. On Sunday, I had my son with me, and kids are typically free. I think the age is 12 and under, but I could be wrong. It could be 10 and under, I'm not sure. Not to say that this is a children's event or that I would recommend bringing your children, but there were a lot there, so it is not unheard of. There are a lot of things around the convention that are not censored, so you might want to just keep that in mind if you're thinking about taking your kids. Saturday was incredibly crowded, and I think it was actually a record attendance for that day. Can you hear that? It's like a helicopter or something happening right now. I think Saturday was so crowded because it was the first full day, or the only full day that William Shatner was there. So we not only had horror movie people, but we also had a lot of Star Trek people there to see William Shatner. So it was crazy, crazy crowded on that Saturday. Saturdays are the day that all of the panels and special events and things like that take place, movie screenings and all of that. So it's typically the most crowded day anyway. We opted not to attend Friday. I have before. Fridays start, I believe, at 5 p.m. so you don't get as much time in the convention. However, if you are a VIP ticket holder, there is a party on Friday night that VIP people can go to, and some of the celebrity guests show up, and I did that a couple of years ago, and it is a good time. I do think that the VIP tickets are worth it if there are a lot of people that you're there to see and you really want to spend the entire weekend at the convention. You also get a skip the line pass for someone that you don't want to stand in line for 2 hours to meet, and you get a t-shirt and just like cool stuff. So on Saturday, I actually went with my brother, and we showed up at a little bit after, a little after 8 a.m. I have a cheat sheet over here, sorry. We were able to walk right in and grab our tickets that we bought ahead of time online. I really think that we were lucky though in that we walked right in and got our tickets, because shortly after that there was a huge line to pick up the tickets that you bought online, which you would think that it would be a lot faster to buy the tickets online and just grab them and pick them up. But there was a huge line, and there actually wasn't a line for just buying your tickets the day of, which I thought was really interesting. So then we popped over to the hotel's cafe to get some coffee, and this was actually like kind of something I wanted to mention just because they do have Starbucks coffee there, but the cafe is not a Starbucks, and I made a boo-boo in that I got in line to get my Starbucks coffee thinking that I was in a Starbucks, so I loaded money onto my Starbucks app to pay and to get the little stars or whatever, and they were like, no, we don't do that here. So you can't pay with the app or anything like that if you plan on getting Starbucks, but they do have Starbucks coffee, and it's kind of like a limited menu of drinks, basically just like basic kind of coffee drinks. I did get an oat milk espresso, an iced, one of the shaken espressos, but they don't have like the same flavors, so you just gotta kind of like deal with what they have. But if you just have like a basic coffee order, you can get it there. I just wanted to mention that because I felt like a little bit bamboozled when I was like in line thinking that I was in a Starbucks, because you're at a convention, you're really excited and you might not be paying attention, and there are like a lot of big Starbucks signs everywhere, so you think that it's a Starbucks at first glance, but it is definitely not. After that little bit of coffee drama, my brother and I headed down the escalator to the main part of the convention, which is where all of the vendors, well, not all of the vendors, but a lot of the vendors are downstairs in the big ballroom and in the hallways leading up to it. We did have pre-show tickets, which allowed us to get into that vendor area an hour before everybody else, and well, everybody else, with all the other people that got pre-show tickets. So we were able to get around and like look at all of the vendors before it got too crowded, which was really nice. We also were able to get in line to enter the autograph room that's downstairs. So this convention is kind of broken up in a really weird way. There are autographs upstairs, autographs downstairs. If you're there to see someone who is scheduled to be in one of the upstairs autograph rooms, getting a pre-show ticket is not going to allow you to get in line any earlier than anybody else. So William Shatner, for instance, he was upstairs in one of the autograph rooms up there, like I say upstairs, like the main floor that you go into, like where the main entrance is and the lobby and everything. There are some rooms down a hallway to your left where there are autographs being done. So William Shatner and Christina Ricci, they were in there, and they had a line way down the halls before that room opened at 10 a.m. So when we arrived at 8 a.m., there were people in line, or people getting in line. They picked up their tickets, got right in line. So having the pre-show ticket for downstairs wouldn't have helped us if we were going to get in line for one of those celebrities. However, my brother wanted to get the autograph of someone who was downstairs in the autograph room down there. So having the pre-show ticket helped us because we were able to get into that area way before it opened up to everyone else. So there was a line to get into the autograph room downstairs before the area even opened up for everyone else. Hopefully that makes sense. The convention is kind of broken up into 3 main areas. You have the entrance where you come in, there's a long hallway and you'll get your tickets, and then down that hallway there are vendors, there's the panel room and another ballroom area down there, I'm pretty sure, where they do like movies and stuff like that, and the VIP party. And then there's another hallway past the ticket area, heading more toward the restaurant. There are some autograph rooms there. And then down the escalator, that's where like all of the main vendor area is, and the big autograph room. So I also wanted to mention where the professional photo ops are, just to kind of like give you an idea of what this looks like. If you're planning to come to the convention, it's kind of helpful to know like where things are. So at the bottom of the escalator, there is the entrance to the professional photo ops area and the big information desk. If you have any questions about anything while you're at this convention, I highly recommend going to the information desk at the bottom of the escalator. Asking random volunteers, because most of the Monster-Mania staff, I believe, are just volunteers that they meet like one time before the convention, and they just don't always have the answers to questions. I know that anytime I've asked a random, person with a Monster-Mania staff shirt on like a question about something going on, they don't really know. A lot of times they have no idea what's going on. And it's very chaotic just because it's a lot to manage. The way that it's laid out and it's always very crowded, it's got to be really difficult for them to stay organized. So the downstairs information desk, I think, is the best place to actually get information, because I think they know a little bit more about what's going on. And it's also where you're going to need to go for your professional photo ops. And one thing I definitely don't want you to do, or anyone to do, because you shouldn't do it, is stand at the bottom of the escalators to wait for your photo ops. Professional photo ops have times that are already set up for you. So when it's time for you to go to your photo op, that's when you head there. You don't need to get there early. You don't need to like wait outside of that area. You will get your photo op. You've paid a lot of money for it. It's gonna happen. You don't need to get there early and cause this traffic jam that always happens there. And just in case you're wondering, the difference between a professional photo op and a table photo is basically what it sounds like. But I swear, when I went the first time, I was so confused because I didn't I didn't realize that those were two different things, but the photo ops are professional. So those you have to buy a separate ticket for, and you get a very fast photo that's professionally taken and printed out for you right then, and it goes by super quick, but you get like a really nice photo of you and whatever celebrity. Table photos are basically just the selfies that you can take with your phone at the table with celebrities that are doing table photos. A lot of times they will do like a combo. You'll pay for the autograph, and then you'll get a discount for the photo, basically. So it'll be like, for example, somebody was $60 for an autograph, you know, $60 for a photo, but $100 if you do both. So that's how that works. And that you just take with your phone or your camera or whatever. All right, so finally, we get down to the bottom of the escalator on Saturday, and they check your wristband. You'll get a wristband, that's your ticket. And they'll check that so that you can go down that hallway towards all of the autographs and stuff like that. And there are a ton of vendors. So the pre-show ticket, if you're there to look at all the vendors, which you really should be, it is a really good idea. We were able to see and meet a lot of people before it got crazy crowded, and there were so many amazing vendors, artists, authors. We met an author slash musician by the name of John Wayne. He was really sweet and really nice. He chatted with us for a really long time. I'm going to try to link the vendors that I can find below that I really enjoyed, but I think I might do another video just of like everything that I bought and showing the autographs and stuff like that, and link all the vendors in that one too. One of my favorite vendors that I visit every year, he makes these basically portraits of horror characters, video game characters, like basically any kind of animated character that you can think of, and I've been collecting those for my son's room. So when you're going down that hallway, there's a giant ballroom full of vendors, and then right next door to that is the autograph ballroom, which opens at 10 a.m. on both Saturday and Sunday. Like I said before, if you have a priority celebrity guest that you really want their autograph first, I would suggest getting the pre-show ticket so that you can get in line to get into that ballroom before it gets crazy crowded. Now there is one more autograph space that I wanted to mention. Like I said, this convention is like broken up into like sections all over the hotel. So there is another autograph space that they use for really big name actors, ones that they think that there's going to be a really big line for. And it is one small like meeting room, and it is on the other side of the hotel. Let me try and explain this in a way that makes sense. When you're facing the hotel, like you're going into the lobby, okay, before you actually go into those big doors into the lobby, to your left is the convention entrance, and then to your right is gonna be this long breezeway that takes you into another entrance of the hotel, and that's where that other autograph room is. So if the person that you're there to see, for instance, this time it was David Arquette, he was over there. So what we did on Sunday was my autograph day. Sunday, I went in, got my tickets, and then came back outside and got in line for David Arquette. So it's kind of confusing if you've never been there before, because you're like, what is this line for? Like, which line do I get into to get in? Because after a while, there was a line for David Arquette outside, and then there was a line for just getting in to pick up your tickets outside. So it can be a little bit confusing, but just know that when you're walking up to the hotel, to the right is that autograph room, to the left is the actual entrance to the convention. And just to be clear, because again, I feel like I'm all over the place here, but on Sunday, there is no pre-show ticket. So there's only general admission on Sunday. It starts at 10 a.m. and that's just it, which is fine. I would not freak out about that. Sundays are actually my favorite days to go because it's just so much more chill. But on Saturday, we did get to go to the panels. So that was really cool. William Shatner was the first panel that we went to, and I think it was like at 11:45 a.m., something like that. So we were able to go downstairs, look at all the vendors, get an autograph down there, buy some stuff, and then we came upstairs and we got in line at about 11. We were right in the front of the line to get into the panel to watch William Shatner. Now, Here's where things get a little tricky. So they allow VIP members in the panels first because VIP members have priority seating. What's weird about this is that they have 4 rows in the front blocked off. Well, they don't have them blocked off. The 4 rows in the front are for VIP seating. So even when they let everybody else in, you are not allowed to sit in those first 4 rows unless you are a VIP ticket holder. So it was just a little weird. Let me explain. So once they came out and shouted down the line that had formed, "Are there any VIPs in the building?" And then all the VIPs, or the random people that heard that and like ran in, then they finally let everybody else inside, which it was kind of weird. I was like, well, why don't they have one door? Because there's 2 doors to get into this ballroom and they only have 1 door available for you to go in through. Instead of one being for VIP and one being for general, they just had the 1 door. So VIP and general admission people were all in the same line, and then the VIPs would get out of line and head to the front to get the priority seating. And then once everyone was allowed to go inside, if you didn't magically know that the first 4 rows were for VIP, they had one volunteer staff member standing in the center aisle, basically just kicking people out of the first 4 rows. People would come in, you know, who weren't in line that whole time. They would come in after a few minutes and the room was filling up, and they'd see like a whole row empty, and they'd go right in and sit down, and they'd be sitting there for a few minutes, and then this woman would come over and bark at them to leave. And it just irked me a little bit because I was like, you know, if they just taped a piece of paper to the first chair in each of these rows that said VIP row, people would know and this wouldn't be an issue. But it was an issue, and I just happened to be sitting like in the 5th row on the end towards the center aisle. So I was like right in the middle, and I was right next to this volunteer lady. So I was just watching her kick people out over and over and over again, and it just bugs me. I don't know, I just didn't enjoy that. It made me feel bad for those people that sat down, thought they had great seats, and then 5 minutes later had to get up and go all the way to the back to find a place to like stand because, you know, they had sat down in the wrong place. There were a couple of other things about this panel situation that bugged me, and I feel bad because I really love this convention. I know there are so many people that are like die-hard fans of the convention, but I do think that they need a little help sometimes with just the organization of things. There was one other incident that happened with this particular volunteer staff member that bugged me quite a bit, and with the convention itself that kind of bothered me. So while I was sitting there in the 5th row, I could not help but notice something that happened a couple rows ahead of me. There was a woman who had a walker, and she's an older woman, and she was sitting in just like a few seats ahead of me, or in front of me, with her walker kind of like in the aisle a little bit, because there was no seating for people with things like that, with disabilities, or like, you know, walkers or canes or anything like that. So this volunteer went up to her, and I could hear the conversation, went up to her and said, "You can't have your walker in the center aisle. We can't have anything in the center aisle." Understandable. You're gonna have to go to the back. And this, I felt my heart broke for this woman because she looked like so upset and annoyed. Like she was in like the 2nd row aisle, a really good seat. She paid a VIP ticket, and this woman said, "You're gonna have to go to the back." She didn't even try to accommodate this woman at all. Now, me just sitting there, I noticed that in the 1st row, where there's plenty of space between the 1st row and the, you know, the stage, there was plenty of room for her to sit up there with a walker. and there were seats available up there. So if it were me, I would have been like, hey, let's try and move you up to the front where there's more room for your walker and it's not in the way, before I just kick this lady to the curb, you know? I felt like I fully regret not speaking up for this woman because I felt so bad and it bothered me for the whole rest of the day. Like I was like, man, I really should have said something to this woman because I was so sick of hearing her bark at people, and like she was not apologetic in any way. She was not, you know, remorseful in any way. She wasn't like, hey, I'm really sorry, you know, we're gonna have to move you somewhere else. She was just like, you're gonna have to move to the back. I couldn't even believe that was happening. And this woman was not trying to fight with this volunteer lady. So she just begrudgingly went to the back of the room. And I just felt so bad for her. And that kind of leads me to think, like, why don't we have some seating for people with disabilities, like wheelchairs and stuff like that? Like, why was that not a thing, you know? And then I just have one more critique of the panels, and then we'll get back to the positive stuff, I promise. This time, in previous panels that I've been to, they've had a volunteer run around with a microphone and have whoever had a question in the audience just stand up, ask their question, sit back down, which I understand is a lot more work for the staff. However, their solution to this was not good. So they decided to just open up the center aisle with a microphone stand and say, everyone who wants to ask a question, get in line. So you would imagine for William Shatner, there was like 20 plus people in line in the center row. He only spoke for about 45 minutes. He only answered, I think, 2 or 3 people's questions. So those 20 people, however many in line, I couldn't see behind me, but like there was a lot of people. All those people standing in line just stood there for the entire 45 minutes staring at the back of the head of the person in front of them. And I was in the center, like, you know, I was right on the center aisle, so I had people standing next to me the whole time. So I don't know, it didn't obscure my view too much, but I just felt like it was unnecessary because a lot of these celebrities like to talk, so and tell stories and stuff like that. So it's just, I don't know, I feel like it just would have made a lot more sense to just run over with a microphone, let them ask their question, and sit back down. That way everybody's seated, everyone's enjoying the show. Okay, so all that being said, William Shatner was great. I loved his panel. He was so cute. He looks great for his age. He sounds great. He's an amazing storyteller. He speaks with that voice that you think is like, you know, I don't want to say fake, but it's just so like grand, you know, like, I am here in Baltimore, Maryland. He's just so cute and funny, and I absolutely adored his panel. He did a great job. And then we sat through Christina Ricci, who was up next, and hers was really good too. She was a little less chatty than William Shatner was. She did have a couple of moments where there were a couple of people in the audience that were just like not cool. One person filming when she didn't want to be filmed, and she literally said, we're not filming this, please stop. And then there was another person who asked a question about a movie that she has made clear in the past that she does not like to talk about, and it's really kind of like a traumatic situation for her. So there was one person that asked about that movie in a way that was just not cool, but she handled it really well, and she was really nice, and she was really great with kids. There were some kids there that asked questions about Wednesday, and she was really cute about that. And you can tell that she's a mom and she knows how to talk to kids, and she was really sweet. So that was pretty much it for my day on Saturday, because it just got way too crowded and I could not handle it anymore. So I think we left at around 2 that day, and then I came back Sunday with my boyfriend and my son, and that was the day for autographs. I think we arrived at about 9 a.m. and then we picked up our tickets and immediately got in line for David Arquette. And we were in line for him for, I think, like an hour and a half, something like that. And of course we were outside in the sun, and it was kind of beaming down on us, and I was like, man, I really don't want to get sweaty right before I meet David Arquette, but it was good to get that one out of the way because, again, that was the one that we had to wait outside of the convention basically for. So he was really, really sweet. Oh my God, he was so cute. And listening to his voice was really interesting because he sounded different to me than he does in movies and stuff like that. Like, it sounded like a different person, but like there he was with his David Arquette face. So we got his autograph and a photo, and it was a really, really good experience. I was very happy that he was a nice person. We met Christina Ricci, which was really great. I just kind of always, I mean, I grew up basically with her. She just kind of reminded me of me, and I loved that. And so I've always loved her characters. I just loved her my whole life. So I was really excited and happy to get her autograph. She and David Arquette were very expensive. I did not write down the prices. Maybe I'll pop them up on here if I can find them. But they were the most expensive. And Christina Ricci actually did not have a combo price for her. So it was like, this is how much the autograph is, this is how much the photo is, and that's it. David Arquette did have a combo. So that was good. We had a really good experience meeting Robert Patrick too, which I kind of went into with no expectations at all. That was really my boyfriend Jim. He really wanted to meet him, and I was like, yeah, I'll meet him. And so we got his autograph and photo, and he stood there and chatted with us for a little while, and it was just so nice. Jim and I actually met a couple of years ago at Monster-Mania, so we told him that story. It's kind of like our thing now. We like to tell the celebrities that we met at this convention, and they love that. We also met the woman that played Princess in The Walking Dead, and I am going to butcher her name, and I am so sorry, but I think it's Paola. I think that's how you say her name, but anyway, she was gorgeous, just gorgeous, and just so sweet and kind. And her autograph was actually like the prettiest, nicest looking one that we got, and she signed in pink, which was very cute. We also got to meet our old friend Kane Hodder. He's been to a bunch of the Monster-Manias, and we actually met him the same year that we met each other, outside of the autograph space. We actually met him first at the VIP party, and then randomly ended up kind of hanging out with him at the bar, at the hotel bar. I want to say that Saturday night we hung out with him a little bit, and he's a character. He's really fun. He's a really fun person. A little scary sometimes. But this time we just got his autograph and table photo like everybody else, and it was really nice. We did notice on Sunday that a lot of vendors were packing up way earlier than I would have thought. The convention's technically going on until 5 p.m., but there were some vendors leaving as early as like 11 a.m. Like, we were still in line for David Arquette, and we were watching some people leave. Now, that's not to say that there still weren't plenty of vendors there. There definitely were, but I think a lot of them start packing up in the early afternoon. So Sundays are definitely a day to get there early, and especially if you want to meet the celebrities. Now, we were still able to meet everybody that we wanted to meet and do some shopping, and it worked out just fine. Overall, I think this is a fantastic little convention. I know that the one in New Jersey definitely gets a lot of big name people, but you know, I think we've gotten a lot of really great guests at this convention over the years, and I'm really happy with it. And we go every year, and I'm really excited to have 2 shows a year now. It's a lot. It's expensive. We spent probably around $800, I think, this time. And I don't even think we meant to do that, because we usually spend a lot in the October show, so I really didn't think that we were gonna spend that much at this show, but we definitely did. So it is a lot if you're going to meet the celebrities and get autographs and buy stuff from the vendors. You can drop a lot of money at this convention, but it is a lot of fun, especially if this is your thing. And you know, we don't have a ton of conventions in this area of Maryland, so it's really cool that it's like right in our backyard pretty much. So I love it, and I'm excited for the October show. It's gonna fall on Friday the 13th this year, which is super cool. So who knows, we might even do all 3 days this year because of that. Let me know in the comments if you've ever been to the Monster-Mania convention. or if there's a different horror convention on the East Coast that I should check out, because I am definitely open to visiting some more conventions in the future. Consider subscribing to my channel because I have a lot of creepy content planned for the future. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye!